Welcome to FEBC Christian World News. Here are today's top stories from around the world. Atrocities against Christians continue in North Korea. Chinese Christians desperate for Bibles. 7-year-old Pakistani Christian rape victim gets justice. Christians flee Syria as civil war continues. Churches in Ukraine take in thousands of refugees. Shin Dong-yuk and 3 other human rights experts recently spoke with the members of the U.S. House Foreign Affairs Committee about the continued atrocities occurring in North Korea. Shin Dong-yuk is the only person born in a North Korean political prison to have escaped. He was repeatedly tortured, starved, and forced to watch his mother and brother's public execution, as he recounts in his book Escape from Camp 14. North Korea is reported to be one of the worst countries to be a Christian in. The extent of suffering is hard to measure due to the government's grip on the country and the information that is made public. In China, Vision Beyond Borders seeks to supply Bibles to Chinese citizens who cannot receive them through usual channels. The Chinese government is very strict on where you can and cannot distribute Bibles. China prints about 8 million Bibles a year, but most are exported to other countries and do not reach the Chinese citizens. As a result, Bibles have to be smuggled to the country in order to meet the needs of Christians there. 40 to 50 million Bibles are still needed in China, especially in rural areas. A 7-year-old Pakistani Christian rape victim recently received justice when the 4 men who gang raped her were given 20-year prison sentences. The young girl, Sarah Masih, was walking into a store when a man forced her into a nearby apartment building. 3 other men followed and repeatedly raped her and left her unresponsive. A Muslim woman discovered her hours later and she was taken to a nearby hospital where she slowly recovered. About 90% of women in Pakistan encounter domestic abuse, which contributes towards its recognition as the 3rd worst country in which to be a woman. Many Christians in Syria are leaving the country as the Syrian civil war continues. One of the hardest hit communities during the war has been the Christian church. Fighting between 2 Muslim groups have left the Christian church in Syria no allies on either side. Many Christians are fleeing the country as a result, leaving bombed out churches and wondering if they will ever be able to return. As the fight continues between pro-Russian separatists and the Ukrainian central government, tens of thousands of Ukrainians are fleeing their homes. In addition, many of the churches in regions affected by the conflict are under attack. A church that FEBC partners with in eastern Ukraine was recently overthrown by rebels. Churches, however, in other parts of Ukraine that are not affected by the crisis have opened their doors to refugees coming from eastern Ukraine. About 20,000 refugees from Crimea and 17,000 from eastern Ukraine are currently being hosted by churches throughout the country. Thank you for watching Christian World News, brought to you by FEBC.